Welcome to Rockstar Doctor Life. I'm Melissa Longo. As a chiropractor, I believe we have the profound ability to impact our communities and people's health on a global level, while also enjoying rich and rewarding personal lives and giving attention to the things that matter to us. Each week, you'll hear an inspiring conversation to give you ideas and insights to rock your practice, pursue your passions, find more connection and meaning in your life, and create a life and business that works for you. Hey there, Rockstar Doctors listening. I'm thrilled, as usual, to have an awesome conversation with Dr. Josh Wagner. Many of you have heard him speak. Maybe you're some of his coaching clients, or you've seen some of his great videos and the work that he's doing. And I'm looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better and hearing more about the things that he's got planned for a chiropractor. So welcome to the show, Josh.
Hey, thank you, Melissa. Thank you for having me on, and everyone listening, thank you for being here.
So obviously, I love to start the show. If you could just give us a quick snapshot of, what's life like for Dr. Josh these days? What are you up to, practicing, coaching? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm in Manhattan right now. It's well insulated enough that you can't hear all of the beeping and screaming of people outside. And I spend the vast majority of my time right now working on programs for chiropractors, working within the profession, working with clients, setting up live events. And I do still adjust patients, just very, very small amount of time per month. Haven't taken on a new patient in years, and it's just a few hours a month to stay connected and feel bad about cutting them off completely. And that's how I'm spending the majority of my time, and actually spending a lot of time writing a book right now on a new concept that applies equally to chiropractors as well as really anyone, and something that we'll get to in the show, and I'm really excited to share with you.
So is it difficult for you not to be in practice? Or many people that I've spoken with who have transitioned to mentoring and coaching other people find just as much joy in doing that kind of work. But every once in a while, there's that missing the patient care aspect. How do you describe that for yourself?
Good question. I would be in that category, like you said. To me, I follow what lights me up, what I'm passionate about. And I never had a real serious health issue or something that chiropractic shifted for me. So I was never really able to empathize well with patients, no matter what their condition, whether it was back pain or whether it was their MS symptoms subsiding dramatically. I never had that. Of course, I was grateful for them. I was happy for them. But I couldn't empathize. And what drew me into chiropractic wasn't the physical healing aspect of it. It really was the deep philosophy and even the spirituality of it. So what makes a huge difference for me is seeing the shift in a practitioner, both life getting better, practice getting better, getting easier, making more money. Like, that fills me up more. And I can relate from my early days, just being so lost at the end of graduating school, my first few months in practice, being burnt out, frustrated. And then to see a way that works, that I'm congruent with, that feels right, and it works out, that's what lights me up and inspires me. So short answer is I really don't miss the one-on-one patient care model. Yeah,
that's okay. I think there's so many roles for people in chiropractic, and that's something I was talking about at a recent event, is that, figure out what you love, what you're great at doing, and then find a way to serve our profession doing that, because some people are really great with videos, some people are great with teaching and clinical stuff, and some people love running a business, and they actually transition to running a business and not actually providing clinical care. So I think that's great for you that you figured out what you love and you're serving so many people and helping them be better in their practices every day.
Exactly. I remember growing up in chiropractic where the main model was, if you're not seeing 500 plus a week, you're essentially an a-hole. Like that's literally how it was at the seminars. And it always felt very confining. I remember thinking of all the practitioners I visited, some seeing 1,000 plus a week, how much of a difference they're making in their community, let's say compared to the chiropractor who may be writing articles and doing research that connects with and makes a difference in thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that come across it. So it's not about volume. It's about you doing your unique path and contribution to the profession. And hopefully it is something that really is making a positive difference for the profession and the general public.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to sort of summarize what you offer people at Patient Mastery and your approach, what would you say that would be?
And it's funny that just came off of that last comment, because when I created Patient Mastery and the Perfect Patient Funnel System program, I actually had the general public and the patient in mind first. I never understood, when I first came to chiropractic and fell in love with it, why chiropractic had such a stigma of why was insurance disappearing? Why is it lowest on the credibility totem pole for all of healthcare? why do people have such skepticism, and medical doctors, so few would refer, and just all this negativity. And I started seeing behind the scenes of the profession, seeing why a lot of those have developed, and we're not going to get into that. But I saw how much that affects chiropractors in the realm of their confidence, their certainty, their ability to get out and market and have connections with their patients. So what I developed was what I call the highest converting new patient process for more retention, more referrals, more new patient investment without ever feeling like a salesman in practice, and really genuinely, professionally connecting with patients and showing them what's possible for their life through your care, and showing chiropractors how to have just beautiful, easy conversations with patients, especially as insurance is declining, to have them want to pay, want to refer, and want to stay with you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And so if you were to think about some of the challenges that your clients are facing, what are some of the challenges that stick out the most for you?
The main challenges are practitioners 10, 15, 20 plus years in practice being so used to insurance paying everything and only having to collect a copay, and now that model switching, at least there, especially in the United States, where now when someone comes in with a $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 deductible, it's an entirely different relationship and engagement. And it's not just so easy as the old days of saying, yeah, come in 3 times a week for the next year and pay $10 each time. Like it was easy back in the Mercedes 80s. It's not that conversation anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's a big part. The second is most chiropractors have had some form of coaching practice management because we get out of school, we have no business sense. Every chiropractor practices a different technique. There's no one way to do it, like dentistry, physical therapy. And so we latch on to the confidence and the charisma of the stage speaker, and we learn certain scripts. And what happens is those scripts worked great in the days when insurance covered everything. Now it doesn't. And after 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 consults, chiropractors are so ingrained saying the same words that don't work as well now, and it's hard for them to detach and transfer to a new model, what I call like a patient-centered model of communication rather than a chiropractic-centered model of communication. So those are the two: insurance disappearing and being so stuck in the old ways of practice management that used to work well and now don't work the same.
Mm-hmm. So really a lot of it is communications, right? Like it's teaching docs how to be effectively communicating the principles of chiropractic and helping people understand the value and following recommendations, but in a different mindset or in a different communication style.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said that because, yes, it's primarily communication, but what I've learned in the last year and what I'm writing a book on and what I'll share with you in a minute is it's actually not the communication. There's something underneath that actually makes the difference in why doctors have such great results. And you said it's not communicating the principles of chiropractic. So that would be chiropractic-centered education or communication. And that's actually, there's nothing wrong with education. It's just how it's applied and when in the process of the new patient it's applied. And when it's done too early, it can actually serve as sabotage in the relationship, because patients are coming in not to learn a new paradigm on health, not to understand vitalism, not to understand subluxation. They're coming in because of a very understandable selfish concern. They've got pain, they've got an injury, they've got a condition, they've got a subluxation. And when we communicate in a way that's all about them and what's possible for them through your process, through your unique process of chiropractic, you will see so much change in how much easier patients say, okay, let's get started. I understand the investment. I want to tell people about you, rather than communicating a new, like I don't have a new script for getting people to understand subluxation or chiropractic, because that's going down the wrong rabbit hole, for instance.
Right. So if there was one tip you were to give listeners in how to improve something today in their practices, what would that be?
Drop 80% of the canned education you're currently doing on your day 1 or 2. That literally be it. Now, I know that's taking something away and not giving. So literally drop 80% of everything you're saying. Actually listen with all your most intentional ears you can ever do, which most people don't know how to listen, and simply show people that you can get them the results they're looking for and the difference it's going to make in their life through your process. And if you literally just said that and dropped 80% of your education, you'd see an increase in your conversions and referrals. And now, of course, there's ton more, but if you just did that.
Well, docs,
because we're so ingrained as chiropractors that we have to get the patient to understand. We have to get the patient to know what we know and understand what we understand. And the best example I give is dentistry. Dentistry is 100% accepted by the public, and it's also accepted in its wellness and prevention model. Like, there's no one out there that doesn't think getting a dental cleaning once, twice a year is healthy and will prevent bad things from happening. And that's what every chiropractor wants their patients and the general public to believe for chiropractic and to understand. But when you actually look at the stats, even though the whole field of dentistry is aligned in their message and 100% of the consumers believe their message, and I believe it's true, I think the stat is less than 20% of people actually get dental cleanings once to twice a year as recommended, and it's not because they can't afford it. So when you realize that chiropractic will never be a one-aligned message and the general public will never fully believe everything we are sharing and preaching and even the science behind it, it's never going to happen that way. So instead of trying to get the public to understand and believe what we know, it's connecting with them for what they want and giving it to them. And that doesn't mean quick back fix, come in once or twice, feel relief and leave. That's a whole other conversation we won't get into.
Mm-hmm. How did you initially get into coaching and mentoring and developing this? Was it something that you started noticing you needed to change in your own practice and then you wanted to share with other people? Or was there something else pivotal that got you into this realm?
When I first got into chiropractic around 19 years old, when it came to me and I started falling in love with the philosophy, like for the listeners who know Pasquale Sarasole, I got to experience him teach Thursday nights in his home in Brooklyn before he passed a few years ago, 94 years old, just preaching chiropractic and self-development, everything from listening to Sigafus CDs, falling asleep to at night, to staying with Reggie Gold in Philadelphia, to going to all the seminars. And I got taken under the wing by some of the top practice management coaches. And I started seeing things even before I got into chiropractic school that just didn't seem to make sense. And I would share it and I would voice it, and I would get shut down because I'm not even in chiropractic school yet. But all of those things stuck with me. And then I realized those never got answered when I graduated. They were issues that occurred for chiropractors throughout, everything from the communication to the certainty to how do we market. And I just saw that most of what I was taught in the traditional practice management didn't sit well with me. Like, I wouldn't say that same line or script to my mom if she was a patient. And I felt, if I'm not going to say something to my best friend or a family member, why should I say it to the random person who walks in? It's just not right. So that's where my struggle was early on in practice. I understood that, and then I opened up. And so everything I started doing just didn't sit right with me. It was just out of integrity, unethical, and I had to realize, like, I can't keep doing this. I'm waking up with my heart pounding, my stomach in a knot. I don't feel right when I'm, the ROF that I'm giving people. And even if I'm making money, it's not right. So that's where I started to find mentors and go outside of the profession for communication and adapt it to the chiropractic practice.
Mm-hmm. And what keeps you so fired up these days?
I love it. I mean, you could probably hear it in my voice. To me,
yeah.
I love the essence of chiropractic. I love good service for the general public. And I see how it's been so distorted in our profession from, a lot of it is just the ambiguity of chiropractic. When it was created, it immediately splintered into many different philosophies and approaches and techniques. There's never going to be alignment, and that's really hurt the certainty and the confidence of the typical practitioner because, hey, what way do I analyze the spine? What way do I adjust? What do I believe? There's no one right way, so it causes all of this confusion and uncertainty and a fractured profession, and I like being a valuable resource for at least, hey, enjoying your practice, making the money you deserve to make, and it just being easier and not so, it doesn't feel like you're going against the grain in practice. That's what it's like for so many doctors. Like, there's so much friction. Like, they literally say, I get nervous when a new patient is on the books because I feel like I have to convince them or I feel like I have to educate them. And when you drop that thinking and you communicate patient-centered, it just gets so much easier. And hearing doctors, their experience, that's what lights me up.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you talk about being patient-centered with communications, a lot of times I mean, and I'm sure for you, this probably starts with the protocols that you offer your clients from day one, day two. But a lot of times people share the recommendations, and not everyone wants to follow what we want to tell them. They don't want to stretch, or they don't want to follow any other home care, or they don't want to maintain the schedule that we want them to come in. What are your tips for helping docs get their message across and helping people follow the recommendations? Because really, those are what really helps get people better.
Yeah, great question. So I'll start with the old school practice management will be the scripted line of, well, if you can't commit to 3 times a week or you're not going to do your home exercises, I'm going to look in the phone book for a chiropractor who doesn't really care as much about their patients, and you can go to them. I'm sure you've heard that, Melissa, like these crazy, just super chauvinistic scripts that the person who's preaching them probably never even used, but it sounds good from a stage. So no, I would not recommend being heavy-handed and say, my way or the highway, get out of here, and not be able to both accept someone's investment and the ability to start a relationship and help them by being that type of mentality. Instead, what I recommend if someone is wavering on their ability to commit to your schedule is letting them know, listen, if you can't make it in at this frequency or you're not willing to do the home exercises that I'm recommending, I can't commit to my expectation of the results we laid out. That's it. Mm-hmm. So it's just putting it in their lap. And
it's reminding them that this is it's a partnership of care model, not like a dictatorship of care model.
Absolutely. And so before that even comes up, before that potential objection comes up, there is a very beautiful and elegant piece of the recommendations conversation, which I call it, not an ROF, that is a care agreement list. And it's not heavy-handed, it's not aggressive, but it's showing a list of things that you really believe if the patient is doing this along with your adjustments, that they're going to get the best results that are longest lasting. And so some of mine are literally increasing your water, decreasing your caffeine, being conscious of your sleeping position, not being on your stomach with your neck twisted, being conscious of your work position. Are you hunched over staring down at a laptop? None of them are upsells. None of them the patient has to change their diet or their whole, they don't have to run 3 miles a day. It's all simple stuff. And it's showing the patient, again, that if they can't commit to these simple things, then you're not even willing to move forward with them. Now, it's not saying you have to make every visit. It's not that authoritative. It's really the simple stuff. And that starts to bridge a gap of, okay, I'm taking responsibility in this as well. It's not just showing up for your visits. And that's actually a really good line, because then it makes showing up for your visits not seem like a big deal. And again, puts it on, it's a partnership, and making it super simple. These are the things to be able to do, to be able to work together, and really makes the practitioner come off as extremely unneedy, which has been one of the cripples in the field of patients feeling that the chiropractor needs them more than the patient needs the chiropractor. And that comes off, again, professional influences, like we need a certain volume. We need to be able to say, I saw this many new patients or this many volume or whatever. And patients can sense that. So there's a strong neediness in the chiropractic field that sabotages our practice. And we don't realize it. We just think we're trying to help more people and grow our practice, but it actually sabotages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that. I mean, certainly I think that people can define their own success for themselves, and some people love high volume practices. Some people, they know it's not for them. Some people like something in between. I think everyone should define their own success, right? And then build a life that relates to that, whether it's practice, their family life. How do you encourage your clients to get clear on the kind of practice style they want and the volumes that they want to hit?
Yeah, good question. It's what makes you happy. And so in terms of the volume question, there's nothing wrong in my mind with high volume. And of course, that's ambiguous what that means. It's wrong based on why you're doing it and how you're doing it. So let's just say, hypothetically, 2 people are seeing 1,000 a week. If one person is seeing 1,000 a week so they can share that from the stage every quarter and get patted on the back, and they're doing whatever it takes to see that 1,000, and they're not really doing the best care, assessments, all of that, and not painting the picture of chiropractic great for the public, that's different from someone who's seen 1,000 a week and delivering the best quality of care they can and assessment and all of that. And they actually enjoy seeing 1,000 a week because it fills up their purpose for touching as many people's lives. So it's never what someone's doing, it's why they're doing it and how they're doing it that makes a difference, whether that's marriage, whether that's how you take care of your body and what you eat, it doesn't matter. It's so much, again, of the profession is what to do, like tactic, stat, what's your PVA, what's your volume? And it's the why and the how behind it, just like anywhere in life. And that usually gives people a little calm sense and realize that we're all, especially in this crazy social media age, everyone's comparing each other. Everything is the grass is greener on the other side, catching up with the Joneses.
Which is ridiculous, right? Because you never see the whole story.
No, right. I mean, I'm in the epicenter of that, being in New York, where just everything is so much more catching up with the Joneses, more and more, nothing's ever good enough. And it relates to a lot of business. And again, in the social media world, everyone who puts up anything, I say behind every sunset selfie, there's tremendous suffering, as an example.
Yeah. Now you've talked about.
It's funny if you actually because it's such an incredible paradigm now. What's going on with social media? Like if you just think what you see the majority of, consider the opposites happening, is actually the truth. It helps a lot of people get a little more peace of mind around the anxiety that they see out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the quickest way to some unhappiness in your life is to be comparing yourself constantly to what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to feel good enough. You're never going to feel enough. And I've had a lot of people tell me that when they define themselves as being a successful human being or a successful chiropractor by strictly looking at the numbers on their sheets every day or on their computer screen, that they felt that they lost something because you'd have this day, you're like, okay, I'm going to have a record day, and then someone cancels, or then someone else doesn't come in. And then all of a sudden you feel like your whole day is a failure because you're not going to hit your goal for that day. And they told me that they found that they were too attached to the numbers and forgetting that those human beings that are coming in, and that you still have a lot of gratitude and the ability to influence some amazing lives with every adjustment that you're giving.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. And what I would add on to that is that even people who do hit their goals, so there's a whole fallacy of goal setting, which is actually causes more unfulfillment and unhappiness and just stress and awfulness in this world. And I have a whole
I was going to say, you might have to share a little bit more about this.
No, I mean, the whole, just about everything in the whole goal setting world causes burnout and unhappiness and unfulfillment. And if you just focus on making every day good and happy and purposeful, and you get through every day, like everything with the 90-day action plan, whatever income you're going for, all of that just means nothing. I could talk about this for a week straight. It's just, it's so strong because it's so sad, especially again in the social media world. It's not even about, like you say to people, don't compare yourselves. People aren't even doing it consciously or on purposely. It just happens because we're getting confronted with every ad or every egomaniac online talking about, their car or whatever. And it's just like, it's not even that we're doing, it's just subconscious. It happens to us. And that's why you've got to build up that muscle of really getting clear on what's important to you and having boundaries. Like, oh my, I don't understand people that are on social media all day. Like, it's scary how their brain functions.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to have structures in your day. One is the tactical, but really is getting really clear on what life's about and what's important. And most people never ask those questions and think it's about, oh, when I hit this income, when I hit this volume, when I get the big house, when I get married, like then things are going to be okay. And there's no when this happens, it's going to be all good. It's either good right now or it's never going to be, because when you hit that thing, you're just going to have a whole other set of problems and issues. So that's the crux of it.
Yeah,
Whatever you're going for, if you don't have it right now, you're never going to have it. So good luck.
Well, I think it's a backwards way of looking at things too, because you could think you want all these things and you achieve all these things, and then you're not happy because you never really thought about whether or not innately, intuitively, whatever spiritual discipline you look at it, your heart doesn't actually even want those things. So rather than getting clear what you actually want and thinking about, okay, your lifestyle, the family time you want, your personal level of health, your wealth, all those things that are important to us as human beings, if you think about those first and then go build a business and a lifestyle that suits it rather than the other way, I think that makes a lot more sense. But you're right, people don't think about it.
Yeah, it's become so strong in the 5 years that I've been working with chiropractors that when I do 2 to 3 day trainings, the entire first day now, there is nothing chiropractic talked about, nothing practice strategy. It is 100% what I call mindset breakthrough mastery. And it is all about your life and what really matters, and realizing that most of the goals you've set for yourself is just putting you more in a ditch and causing more unfulfillment even when you hit them. And it's not about not having goals. It's just another way to approach them. So I know you're on the same plane. It's just, it's so important for people to hear. And that actually will go into what I really wanted to share in this call that I haven't gotten to yet.
Is your book?
Well, yeah, but the concept of the book,
Yeah.
because I'm not pitching a book, it's not even available. And that's if someone were to go to my website, they'd see tons and tons of doctors' testimonials. Everything from life is so much easier to practice is so much easier to I'm making 30% more in 5 weeks. There's just tons of testimonials, and everyone's getting the same content. It's a program, and some of them have calls with me, some of them don't, but everyone's getting the same content. And there's a lot of docs who've used the work or used the program, gotten it, and they don't have the testimonials, or they haven't seen the results that others. So I'm picking my brain, like, what is the defining difference? How come all these docs got it? How come these don't? And they're still in burnout and they're grinding it out. And I figured that out in the last year. And that's what I'm shifting the majority of my focus on with new programs, trainings, and this book is the single one factor that determines whether or not you get what you're going for in life. And it's not your discipline, or your commitment, or your character, or your resources, or your money, or how bad you want it, or your focus. All of those play a role. If you have this one thing, it'll make you get it quicker and easier. But if you don't have what I'm about to tell you, again, all of the work ethic and focus and resources won't have you get what you're after. And this has nothing to do with chiropractic. It could be an income and a patient volume, but it could be a weight. It could be a life partner. It could be just you want to be happy throughout the day rather than anxious and stressed. And so, Melissa, you don't have to tell me, but think in your mind, and for all of the listeners, think in your mind of something that's really, really important for you, to you in life, that you don't have and that you're actually going for. This isn't some pipe dream that would be, oh, nice one day if this could happen, but like, it's part of your action plan. It's part of your goals that you're really going for this. You don't have it, and it's important to you. I'm going to ask you one question. You answer it in your mind. It's a yes or no question. And this defines whether or not you can actually bring it into your life. So you have that vision, you have that vision, you have that goal, and just really honestly and genuinely answer, do you truly believe you deserve having that? And you don't have to give me an answer, Melissa, this is for you. Yeah. But for everyone listening, the number one determining factor, whether you're going to get or not get what you're after, is whether you believe you deserve it. And if you do, all of the discipline and work ethic and focus will have you get it, and get it quicker or easier than not having those attributes. But if you don't believe you deserve it, and this ties in so much to chiropractic with what we were talking about before, it's not going to happen. It's always going to feel like a grind. You're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel burnt out. A lot of people can't even envision what they want in the areas of an inspired life because this undeserving mindset is so strong. And in chiropractic, I see that show up as a lot of what chiropractors are taught because they feel, ooh, that's kind of icky language, or I don't like practicing that way. It plants a seed of undeserving success when they know they're doing it through a perhaps unethical route or an outdated route. And so a lot of the concepts that I bring up when I work with someone, I didn't realize it was flipping the switch from undeserving to deserving. And then the communication on top of that was just making it so much more impactful. And now that I realize that's what was actually happening in so many of the doctors' minds, I'm showing the actual process of how to flip your switch from undeserving to deserving in whatever area you want to target, whether it's your weight, love life, finances, career, happiness. And that's what I'm really, really passionate about sharing with chiropractors and outside of the profession as well.
It's a self-love piece, it sounds like.
It definitely ties into it, absolutely. It's just, I would say it's absolutely self-love ties into it, because if you don't feel you're deserving, you're missing some of that. It's just more targeted. As much as love is beautiful, I think it could be a lot more of an ambiguous topic for a lot of people. How do I develop self-love? What does self-love actually feel like or look like? Whereas deservingness, and I purposely don't say worthiness, because worthy takes on a connotation of it's outside of you, like someone else deems you're worthy, whether it's a deity, whether it's a authoritative figure in your life. Like deservingness is our own choice. And based on our childhood and our upbringing, lots of events or conditioning by parents cause us to feel undeserving in some of the most important areas. And there are ways through your mind and certain processes to flip the switch from undeserving to deserving. And what happens then is things just open up and get easier, and you actually stay committed. You have new ideas because you feel you're deserving it. You actually do what it takes to go get it. Mm-hmm. And just life's serendipities and magic start happening when you change on the inside.
Well, it sounds like you're really helping people unpack some of the beliefs that they've had that are stories that are, and true, and like you said, life experiences that have shaped their thinking, and really helping them take those perhaps negative beliefs apart and helping them find some fulfillment in a new way, mentally, emotionally.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
So you talked about, we talked about a little about self-love, self-care. You've talked about the social media stuff. And how do you stay grounded? You're around a lot of people. You're in New York City. We talked about being exposed to people with comparison and social media. Like, what are some of your best tips for yourself that keeps you focused, grounded, healthy, stuff that you share with your clients, I'm sure, too?
Yeah, I try to stay out of New York City as much as possible. Well, as much as that is true nowadays. So I'll just go down a quick list. I could also talk on this for 2 days. I meditate on average about 90 minutes a day, broken up into different factors, but I start every single morning starting with a long meditation. And if you can just do 20 minutes, then do 20 minutes. I start the morning with about an hour. Now, that doesn't work if I'm distracted between when I wake up and I start meditating, meaning I'll look at my phone to turn off, so let's say my alarm. If I notice that there's text messages, social media notifications, anything like that, well, that just completely destroyed my meditation. So before I go to bed, my phone's on airplane mode, and it doesn't come off airplane mode until about 11 a.m. or noon, depending on what I need to do during that day. So there are no unnecessary sabotaging
distractions.
Distractions.
Yeah.
So now we all have different lives, whether you have children, depending on your family. But I know, even though I don't have kids yet, there are hundreds of thousands of people in this world who do have kids that still meditate in the morning. So I know it's possible. Mm-hmm. Same with, you don't have to look at the newspaper, turn on the news, turn on the radio, turn on, God forbid, social media or Facebook. Look at your text messages before doing what's most important to you in the day, both from a self-care, like whether it's meditating, exercising, writing, journaling, and then, or ideally doing what's most important that you're passionate about, and hopefully what you're passionate about ties into your career, and what's most important to you there that you put in a good 20 to 45 minutes before opening yourself up to the distraction of the world and everyone else trying to vie for your time. So besides from having my phone, or besides from being completely shut off to outside distractions and influences before I get done my self-care and my most important work for that day, when I do finally turn my phone on, it's now all the time on do not disturb mode. So I am never feeling or hearing a vibrate or a ding about a message coming in, because right there I'm giving away my attention and thinking about this is we're getting to really deep humanistic aspects. If you're distracted, you're letting some random person, whoever has your phone number or whoever can contact you on social media, actually take away your attention. If you're letting a ding or a vibrate, which does just if I'm talking with someone and my phone were to vibrate in my pocket, I'm immediately thinking, oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder if it's this person. And
you're suddenly less present with the person. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I'm writing something important, I'm done. So having my phone on do not disturb, which has only been for the last 7-8 months since I did a retreat without anything, that was the one piece I took from a 5-day retreat without pretty much any electricity, any connection to the outside world. My phone's been on do not disturb, and it's been one of the most efficient, productive, but just fulfilling pieces of taking my attention back. And that's so important. So other things I do in the morning besides meditating is I write, and I mean just free write. Like I just write on a page. It just kind of gets all the cobwebs out of my head. Like anything that's in my head, I just write it. So it's not purposeful writing. It's just free association writing. I like walking. So I walk for at least 10 minutes. I like listening to music that inspires me. And I like reading something that inspires me or I feel is fulfilling. So those are some of the quick things I'll do in the morning, and I set aside a strong amount of time in the morning. I plan out my entire day in a specific process the night before, and so I'm not thinking about how the day is going to go when I wake up or what I need to do. That's done the night before. And more so than what I structure is, again, reducing the distractions. Like no one can be in touch with me before 11. I do have my ability for assistance through certain mediums that they can be. And my most creative work is done in the morning. And I've come to learn I don't think anyone has more than just a few hours of real strong quality work that they could do in a day. So I make sure that's done in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it's more stuff I'm reacting to rather than creating from scratch, or where it's responding, it's reacting, whether that's calls. Oh, I don't check my email before 5 p.m. on average. I do have someone looking at it in case there's anything I need to know, but I'm not looking at it. Those are some of the main ones. And I would say for anyone who doesn't have a meditation type practice, like meditation, visualization, just having a daily commitment to that will make a dramatic shift in life, just going smoother, easier, more peace of mind, and you'll get a lot more done in a lot less time.
And find a lot more personal peace.
Yeah. But it has to be every day. It can't be 5 days a week. It's got to be every day to really see the difference.
That was awesome. I mean, there's so much value that we've talked about in this show today, but those last, those tips, that is something that anyone can certainly implement into their life, because, the healthier we are as human beings, the more we can give to the people in our practice and our families. So that was great. I like that you talked about creating in the morning and reacting in the afternoon. That's a really good practical tip for me personally, I think, too.
No, I'm glad it helped, because I know that's also something just in the past 6 months that I've come across and made that shift. And then if I knew it 3-4 years ago, I'd be much better off.
So we've got to wrap up here today. And anything last minute or sort of to wrap up here that we haven't talked about that you would really love listeners to hear? Obviously, every way that you can get a hold of Dr. Josh Wagner and find out what he's up to, we will include in the show notes, listeners. But Josh, any final thoughts?
No, not to add anything more in, if you really take a look at your life and what you're going for and think about the deserving concept, do you truly believe you deserve what you're going after? If you are honest with yourself and it's a no, you got to do something about it. And if you believe you deserve it and things aren't shifting in your life whatsoever, then it's so deep, it still is a no. You don't realize it. You got to do something about it. It's not going to change. So that's what I most want you to take out of that. And hopefully some of the strategies for making the day go smoother and having more focus has helped you too. If you want more content and videos on a whole lot of goodies, you can go to patientmastery.com. And depending on when this gets released, the next live seminar is in Atlanta at the end of October, the last weekend, October 26th to 28th in Atlanta, Georgia, will be the next live seminar to get all this in person.
Fantastic. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I really appreciate your time with me today. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day, and we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa, and thanks for everyone listening.
Thanks for being here today. If you like this show, please share it with another chiropractor and connect them with this message. We are always better off together than we are alone. If you haven't yet subscribed, head on over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes, and don't forget to rate and review the show while you're there. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook and find out more about today's guests and all things Rockstar Doctor Life by clicking in those show notes. See you next time.